Why is chaos equated with evil?
A dimension of pure chaos. Pure evil.
So there's a fan theory that Event Horizon is a Warhammer 40k movie. The first humans to enter the warp, they know nothing about chaos entities or Geller fields, and they go in completely vulnerable. Whether we want to treat Event Horizon as being in the Warhammer universe or not, it makes a lot of sense, and gives us a starting point with this whole is it chaos or is it evil thing. Warhammer's chaos gods aren't gods exactly. They're almost egregores, created and sustained by the psychic energy, the emotions and desires of the people living in our realm. The Aldari cause the birth of Slaanesh, a god of excess through generations of orgies and sadistic pleasure-seeking. Fucking elves. In the Immaterium, Slaanesh has always been there. Wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff. The Warhammer lore is vast and complex, but the short of it for this point is that the entities and psychic reflections of the Immaterium were gradually transformed into hateful, malicious things, due in large part to a galaxy-spanning war 60 million years ago. Which means that if the gods are evil, it's just because they're reflecting us. There's a feedback loop with amplification, certainly, but they don't originate evil. They don't originate anything. Only amplify and direct what's already there. Back to Event Horizon. The ship was built, really soon, to test a faster-than-light propulsion system invented by this guy, Dr. Weir. The ship engaged the drive, disappeared, and that was it. No one knows what happened. And then, years later, the ship reappears orbiting Neptune. A team is sent to investigate and rescue anyone still alive, and Dr. Weir is sent along to evaluate things on site. Also, I imagine that academics and defense firms he worked with before would really like the guy that wasted billions of dollars on a starship that didn't work to make like his deceased wife and not be around anymore. Yeah, she killed herself and he carries a lot of guilt about that. Foreshadowing. A few months later, the team arrives, and the Event Horizon is a roiling mass of pure concentrated evil, maliciously pulling them into its darkness and suffering. No, it's just a ship floating there. It's impressive that it can maintain position deep enough into the gravity well to be in the atmosphere, but the thick fog is moody and it's a haunted house movie, so I let it go. They dock and board, and very conspicuously don't ask about the chunky salsa stuck to the walls, and split up to investigate the creepy ship that definitely has some of that Warhammer Gothic cathedrals in space aesthetic. Which I really like, but then I think Saruman has a nice office too. Event Horizon takes a dark and claustrophobic approach to the creepy derelict vibe. Like being alone in a New York subway station, there's plenty of shadows for dangers to pop out of. It's not the only way to do it. The black hole, for example, sets a similar feel with wide spaces and high ceilings, vulnerability through exposure rather than being trapped. I sometimes wonder if Event Horizon didn't play more off the Gothic vibe due to something as simple as ceiling height in the soundstage, though we do get some high archways in the corridors between the habitat and drive sections of the ship. At this point, Weir is the only one that has any kind of psychic contact, for lack of a better term, with the ship or whatever entity is attached to it. It's implied that we're dealing with something in the Immaterium, some other place that's leaking through the gravity drive, most notably when Justin sticks his finger into the oily void that materialized in front of him. Because that's how you investigate spatial anomalies. Stick your hand in it. But there's also Stark doing one of those unspecified life sign scans that finds whatever it is that it scans for.
I'm picking up trace life forms, but I can't get a lock on a location.
When I was watching this for the first time in the theater, I half expected it was going to have the consciousness of the entire crew blended into one seriously insane Frankenmind imprinted into the ship. Whatever the case, it's only after Justin gets pulled into the pool that the ship is able to trap them there with a spatial distortion barfed out of the drive, along with Justin. Only then does it start to work on the others. First with whispers that play off their festering guilt, brief visions when they're alone. Coming back to that idea of chaos entities reflecting our own emotional states. The ship only torments certain crew members with visions. Weir feels guilt over his wife, and he sees her repeatedly. That's the hook that digs into him. Peters had to leave her son behind, had to break a promise to be there for Christmas, and perhaps even feel somehow responsible for his disability. Miller feels guilty about leaving a crewman to die years before.
I did the only thing I could.
I closed the lifeboat hatch and I left him behind.
It's not that he thinks he made a mistake, acted cowardly, or that he committed a sin by some external metric, but simply that he feels like he did something wrong even when he knows he didn't. This isn't vengeful spirits coming to punish the wicked, it's people taking it onto themselves. Smitty, Cooper, and Stark don't get taunting visions, whispers from people they failed. Their torment is entirely in the physical realm through intermediaries. Corrupted Weir planting a bomb, for example, not anything the ship can force them to do or directly do to them. I suspect Cooper, Smitty, and Stark generally sleep well. Whatever demons they might carry don't have much hold. We don't know what the medic's demons are.
Trauma.
But it seems like something is wearing on him, driving him right to the edge.
The ship, do you understand? It's just a big hunk of metal. There's nothing odd going on.
I get the impression he's trying to convince himself. The ship itself doesn't really do much on its own. Even the blast that traps them there seems like it needed a mass, or a mind, to go through the portal, like a counterweight of some sort to release a ripple of force. I can't say for certain, but I'd bet dollars to donuts it wouldn't have been able to do that if Justin had been a bit more disciplined with his bread hooks. That exchange rate favors donuts these days. So it's kind of hell in the sense that there is a judgment and punishment angle to it. It's just that they carry it themselves instead of being cast into the pit by a deity. But even then, it's not all-consuming. Miller can still make rational decisions even at the height of torment. With Peters, it's her panic that gets her, not some external evil. Only Weir becomes completely corrupted by it and turns into a servant of the chaos. Because for Weir, it is all-consuming. The event horizon was his life's work, and it failed. His wife killed herself because she was neglected and depressed, in part because Weir was spending all his time and attention on the gravity drive.
I know I wasn't there when you needed me.
When Weir boards that ship, he's stepping into the physical manifestation of all his failures and regrets.
We're leaving.
We came here to do a job.
We're aborting, Doctor!
With that order, he's faced with yet another failure centered around that ship. That's when he completely cracks. So I have to wonder how it might have gone had the crew just been Smitty, Stark, and Cooper. Would they even notice anything beyond the physical evidence? The ending is ambiguous.
They're with us.
Go with us.
It could be the malicious spirit or whatever still fused with the matter of the ship, ready to have another go at them. Or it could be post-traumatic stress from having just gone through some highly irregular shit. How you interpret it depends very much on whether your perception of the world leans more spiritual or materialist, for lack of more precise terms. All of this is on this side of the Chaos Gate, though. It's a whole different thing on the other side, because a realm of actual chaos, not evil, not malicious, just chaos, would be mind-shattering. What we think of as chaos is just unexpected things happening faster than we can adjust. But the basic underpinnings of the physical universe are constant. The world we inhabit isn't chaotic, even if sometimes people and events are irrational. Even without evil entities, flying through a hole into a higher dimensional realm with fundamentally different rules is going to cause problems for conscious minds rooted in three-dimensional space and linear time. Event Horizon, and in much more elaborate ways Warhammer 40k, looks at this problem of travel through higher dimensional space through a supernatural lens, presenting the horrendous effect of truly chaotic space as deliberate malice, heavy on hell imagery, and really, what's the difference in practical terms? There's the pragmatic view that if a ship can be safely guided through using psychers and Geller fields, whether it's creating a stable packet of standard spacetime or emitting energy that wards off the Chaos Goblins, doesn't really matter if it works. The question I'm left with is, did the ship make it to Alpha Centauri? Because if so, then, like the Warhammer universe, we may still be able to work with this.
Ave atque vale.